Welcome to Two Mics with Tito and Kabingu. Today we're going to discuss cancel culture, and we hope you're going to enjoy and stick with us till the end.
Alright, so the other day there's this recent film that just came onto Netflix, I think a month or two ago, The Social Dilemma. So it's basically the film about how social media is changing us in terms of our views around certain subjects. And I think for me, one thing that captured my attention mostly is how the information that comes onto my timeline is very selective. It's just what I would agree with. So I think to me that was the most disturbing part. To know that if I hold conservative views about a subject, I will rarely, if ever, get to interact with other views from people with a differing opinion. And I think I've kind of seen that even especially on YouTube. Where say I'm watching Jordan Peterson and I would almost never get to come across other people that disagree with Peterson. So I think that's something I found very interesting. And there's this in the film, there's this example they give where if you are to search for the effects of I think it's climate change or global warming. Is global warming a hoax? Is it real? So they were saying if you just type the first words, I think it's global warming is, and then the next suggestions will be based on either your location or on your inclination based on your previous
political
searches.
ideology.
Yeah. So I think I paused immediately and searched, and for me, I was expecting something in the lines of climate change or global warming is a hoax. It's not real. Not that I don't think it's real, but I think I've been listening to a lot to people who think that, it's exaggerated. And I think I right now do take that view. I think it's exaggerated. And that's exactly what I got. The first suggestion was, I think global warming is a hoax. It's not real. So that I was so shocked.
And you see now the thing is, Tito, on the issue of global warming, I might be of a different view. And the unfortunate thing about the world as we have it right now is the fact that we do not agree with people who do not agree with us. We are not willing to have a conversation with people who do not share our opinions. And therefore, if someone thinks global warming is an exaggeration and I think global warming is real, that person is the enemy, and that person does not deserve to hold public office. They do not deserve to be employed. They do not deserve to live in a house that they are renting. We need to talk to their landlord to kick them out. We need to talk to their employer to fire them. It's this thing that we've been hearing being called cancel culture, where because of how we've been social media is a very big part of our communities, part of our society. And so we get our ideas from social media. We get our knowledge, the things that we know, we are getting them from Twitter. We are getting them from the comment section on YouTube. So the moment we interact with someone whose algorithm is curated in a different way than mine, that is telling me X and yours is telling you Y, there's a collision of ideas. There's abrasiveness. And you see, the thing is, to finish my point, people in the liberal world, and it's honestly, I think it's a liberal issue. Lefties. Yeah.
I wanted to say the same thing.
Yeah. People on the left wing, people who believe in progressiveness of the society, and I'm putting that in quotes, are the people that are not willing to listen to people of a dissenting opinion. And anyone who doesn't agree with them is gets essentially cancelled?
For me, how I see it is we think like in sentences, and reality is just too complex to just think in one-liners and sentences. I think it's Jordan Peterson who says, like, in almost every 10 minutes that an idea is complex, and I agree with him. Reality is not black and white.
Yeah.
But what you find is these days is I'll base my entire view of climate change and global warming based on Facebook videos, things I'm seeing about how
polar bears.
Yeah, polar bears, how they are extinct, how ice is melting.
Plastic on the river.
But the fact of the matter is there's an entire science behind all this. There are people that have spent years and decades studying these things. And whatever you think, you don't have the full picture.
There's something I was seeing that it was saying people who are mostly being affected by the, like, yes, you Google, the algorithm gives you what normally you search for. If you're conservative, you'll get that. If you're left, you'll get that. But
are you pointing at when you're saying lefty? What is wrong with you? You're pointing at Tito, conservative, me, lefty.
Okay, moderate. But they've shown it's something that has been affecting more of the older and a bit of millennial generation. Many Gen Zs, I think, because they've grown up with the internet more than we did, they don't usually take news at first hand. When they get information,
they check.
Yeah, they check for other sources. But maybe our parents, certain people our age, whatever they get is whatever they believe in. So maybe it's something that will correct itself as we go on and we start understanding how the internet works.
And you see, I was I don't know, J.K. Rowling. You know J.K. Rowling, the author of
first person to become a billionaire from writing books.
Yes, apparently she was cancelled a few months ago. I think at the beginning of the pandemic, and the reason why she was cancelled is she said that she does not believe transgender women are women.
They said people who menstruate.
Yes.
So she just answered, so you mean women? You
see, the thing is, the reality is, this whole issue is crazy, because at the end of the day, a woman has certain realities that I will never understand. I'll never be able to know the pain of childbearing, no matter how long my wig I put on my head. And that is what J.K. Rowling said, right? The fact is, removing jobs or reducing the jobs allocated, quote unquote, for like affirmative action jobs for women to include these guys now who've joined into the fight to become men also, is unfair to the women themselves, which I think makes sense. So the fact that she had an opinion that some people on the left thought they don't agree with, they cancelled her. They want her movies cancelled. They want her books cancelled. They do not want to associate themselves with people who don't agree with them. And it's a reality that I've also seen with Trump supporters also. People who support Trump, they are labeled bigots. I had a friend of mine who blocked me on WhatsApp when she realized that I support Trump. Like I agreed with a Trump's presidency without necessarily adjudicating my reasons. So now the thing becomes, why can't we have a respectable discussion between the two of us, even as much as we disagree fundamentally?
First of all, I wanted to say, I think this whole cancel culture it's so heavily influenced by the left from where I stand.
Yeah.
But also I think we'll have to agree that much of the internet and the media is also on the left. I think generally, I think we are shallow these days. And I think the internet, and especially social media, has done us a great disservice.
That's true.
Going back to the point I had made earlier, we are very shallow even in terms of the ideas that we hold. because like say in the 90s and before the advent of the internet, people used to get their ideas mostly from well-written articles. And you see, in an article, you're able to get like a well-seasoned out and reasoned out argument. But these days, the kind of information that we get is just too shallow. Like in bits, sensational. Just what
to rile up emotions.
Yeah, to rile up emotions. Just what gets you excited. So you find that me and you disagree on something that both of us know nothing about, and it's something very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
I think that's one very valuable thing we have lost. And that's why we can't even disagree constructively. Right now, you can't. If you go to Facebook, if you're just looking for a fight, just go Facebook and a comment section, disagree with someone
in the news section. You see, I saw a friend of mine is in ALU, Africa Leadership University. It's dubbed the Harvard of Africa. Is it the South African? Yeah, but now they have an in Rwanda. So ALU is a very modernistic university, and unfortunately, it apes the left liberal culture that is in American universities, where we are being taught safe spaces. You're being taught not to get triggered. If someone says something you disagree with, you get majorly triggered. You are being taught to surround yourself with people that agree with you, and that is a very dangerous place, a very dangerous kind of training we are giving the students, because the world doesn't work that way. People will say things that will offend you.
I just want to agree with you that on that aspect of, safe spaces and just trying to avoid people that disagree with you. Even in psychology, when someone goes to see a therapist and they have something bugging them, say maybe it's an issue they have failed to address, what the therapist, like any reasonable well-taught psychologist, what they help them do is they help you face your fears. They help you face whatever is disturbing you. It's not something about safe spaces. Jordan Peterson has a rule that don't ever run away from something frightening if it stands in your way. Like that idea of facing
your fears.
Facing your fears. So this whole issue of safe spaces, I think it's something that, in my opinion, a bit of a tangent that has contributed to the decline in masculinity that we've seen. Like the virtues of courage. It's not something that is encouraged.
Yeah, because you're told it's okay for a man to cry. It's okay for a man to be soft. It's okay for a man to be in touch with their femininity. Yes, yeah. Yes, we are pushing femininity on the men because of these safe spaces, this trigger sense. There are certain trigger sensitive words that you cannot use. It's called microaggressions. So a microaggression is essentially a statement, action, or incident regarded as an instance of indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against members of a marginalized group, such as a racial or ethnic group. For example, now, if I was hosting a luya in my house and I serve chicken, that's a microaggression. Like, geez, are you just assuming that because I'm a luya you love chicken? What the heck? If I'm serving a black man, they are traditionally told to love watermelons. So I cannot serve watermelons when I'm hosting a black man in the United States because what? If a Kikuyu comes to my house and I cook a stew with a lot of water and potatoes.
With one potato.
Oh yeah. That's a microaggression. And you see, now the thing is, these are the things that students are being taught in the universities, and they end up churning out robots, essentially, because you've been programmed. And the reality of the world is the fact that having to empathize, having the trait of empathy is putting yourself in a reality, in shoes of people of a different reality as yourself, different state of mind from yourself. And therefore, empathy enables you to imagine yourself in someone else's shoes, and that can only be grown or cultivated when you are willing to engage with someone from a different point of view. And therefore, that means you have to be accommodating to dissenting points of view from your own. But now this is not what we are seeing. This is not what we are seeing. If someone is of a different opinion, if someone is of a different persuasion, if someone's character is different from what I believe is correct, or whatever my bubble, because we're essentially now living in social bubbles, whatever my bubbles agrees to be correct, you are going to be cancelled. If I tell a guy to man up, that's a microaggression. Like, goodness, what if I identify as a chicken? Because these days there are like 150 genders. I don't want to identify as a man. I want to identify as a pineapple. Why are you telling me not to identify as a pineapple? Right? So I'm just saying that these are things that are affecting discourse in our society, are affecting, and essentially universities are places where ideas grow. And how do ideas grow? Bouncing them against each other, disagreeing, and then growing. Therefore, where are we headed as a community and as a society if we are not going to allow people to disagree with us?
Yeah, and I think I like what, again, we are quoting Peterson a lot, but I like what he says about, in order to get to the truth, you have to be offensive. Because you have to ask a question. If I can't ask a question, I can't know. So it's, in order for me to get the truth of that, whatever I'm looking or inquiring about, I have to be offensive. And also, I think there's also that movement of people have started crying out that we should stop teaching things like those gender studies and such things as truths that which have not, they're not actually truths. People just suggested that these things are true, so we should teach them and take them as fact without question.
And do you see, this friend of mine who goes to ALU, is a really smart guy. He really is offended for a young guy at 23, 22 in a culture that is so liberal, is offended by the leftism that is being taught in the universities. That right now people are being taught gender studies, people are being taught Africanness. There's a course about African. So he's asking, so you are Kenyan, you want only to learn Kikuyu, and for you to be cool. What about when it comes to trade in the real world, where you need to trade with an American? Are you going to use your Kikuyu to the reality is, we were oppressed to take the English language, but it is a standard right now. Yes, teach the people the cultures of where they came from, but also let's not exclude ourselves from the global discussion by wanting to adhere to our roots, wanting to be woke and cool. That Mimi, I'm all about the African supremacy. Africans are not supreme.
Hoteps.
Africans are not supreme.
Jesus was a
we
black man.
We are at the bottom of the international discourse, and we need to get ourselves out of that. I agree. But let's not exclude ourselves from the global discussion by wanting to be woke. Doesn't help anyone. And these gender studies, like, instead of teaching people entrepreneurship, instead of teaching people technology, we are teaching them gender studies. 113, or how many are they now? I don't know where we are.
Many.
Like, we are teaching people that
they're putting a plus at the end of LGBT.
Gender is complicated. Gender is not complicated. Gender is male and female, and the things that affect male and female. That is the reality.
And it's true. And here's the part where you see it will affect other. Some people say it's a harmless thing, but you see there are points where it will affect. So let's say you're a doctor. For you knowing the gender of someone at points it's an important part in you diagnosing that person.
Like, I'm just thinking, assume I want to test for breast cancer. Like, I made a joke one time and someone was offended. So they said there's a celebrity who's raising their child as gender neutral. So the child will decide what gender they are. They are not called babies, they are called babies. So they're not called babies, they're called babies. So they're raising a baby. He or she or it will decide when they will decide what gender they are when they're 18. So now, and then I yes. So now the question was, at the comment section, I asked, wait, if you're changing the diapers, you can see it right there. Like, there is no two ways. Like, okay, there are literally two ways about it. Yeah? You cannot say that you are blind to your child's gender. It's even dangerous to assume not the gender of your child.
Yeah, when we say the left has gone too far, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
But for me, how I especially see this level of postmodernism, this is the end of civilization as we know it. Because for the world to be where it has been, like for us to get to all these achievements as society and as civilization, there's a certain code that we've built upon. There's a certain logical structure and understanding of the world that we have built upon, based from, first of all, the interactions between men and women, then family, then and then how society interacts. So, and I feel like what the left is doing and what's happening with postmodernism, all this is being erased and wiped away. Like, there's no structure, like there's no foundation to come back to. So even the ideological sense of absolutes, it's no longer there, and everything is relative. And I think that's where everything starts to go south, in my opinion.
I know this might put me in a lot of trouble, but I know I want to put this on the side. Okay, this is what I'm saying. My entire point, I guess, would be: are we willing and able and have an intention to be in a society where we disagree and at the same time are able to live together? Because honestly, I do not. If I knew a transgender person, if I knew someone of a different persuasion, I wouldn't. I would want to engage this person and have a discussion on why or how their train of thought or how impacted their lives is, because this is an actual issue that psychologically affect people, But I even though I am of a different opinion, being willing and to engage the person, because that is how you grow, that is how you create tolerance, right? But my point is, the society as it is, the society where it's headed, is I can only interact with people who think like me. And tech companies are thriving on this. Tech companies are growing and they are exploding based on the fact that they want to make sure that you are in a certain cocoon, that you are continuously engaging on their platforms, giving you sensationalized things and ideologies around what you believe in, to make sure that you're hooked onto that platform. And someone said a very important thing that I think kind of made me afraid of social media. They said, if you're getting it for free, then you are the product. Yeah. If and the fact that social media is free, that means you are the commodity that they're selling. You are the commodity that they are monetizing for them to, because they are in business. So the question becomes, how do you interact with these platforms? And to me, it's honestly interacting with it with a lot of skepticism. Even with my conservative ideologies, I honestly will continuously look at what Trevor Noah has to say about an issue, or give me a left person.
Most talk show people,
or the talk shows and the CNNs, right? Trying to see what they have to say about an issue, because it's also the other side of the discussion.
But I think for me personally, I'm more hopeful of the future, because it seems people don't want language or ideologies that are just curated for a specific person. I think that's why we're seeing guys like Joe Rogan are getting so many views, so many listeners, because there are people who entertain different points of view. So when someone is coming to listen to the discussion, this week I might get an extreme lefty, and next week I might get an extreme conservative, or even I might have all of them in the same discussion talking about an issue.
But now you see, Kelvin, now the thing I think is the fact that at the highest institutions, Harvard, MIT, and all these institutions, where they are encouraging and teaching people to think a certain way, and anybody who thinks different is an enemy, these are the top of the world. These are the people who are going to be executives in the biggest companies. These are the people who are going to...
That's what has already happened.
So no, my point is, these are the people who are going to head global organization, head governments around the world. And what essentially happens is what happened at Spotify with Joe Rogan. Yeah, if people at the highest level are pushing an agenda of microaggression and being offended by someone being of a different opinion, these will essentially cascade downwards. They will create these bubbles even within these big organizations. The same thing happened at Google. There's an engineer. There's an engineer who wrote a memo disagreeing with the feminist agenda that women can... what was the thing?
It was about this issue that women... Basically, it's gender pay gap.
Yes, exactly. Where he presented a factual thing, but because Google as an organization is based off on a very liberal leaning culture, he ended up losing his job. He ended up getting cancelled. But now, why not have a discussion with a person like this? Why not humor this person and hear what they have to say and see if there is a middle ground, and the issue that he addressed, if they were to be addressed by the organization, I'm sure the pay gap issue could be addressed objectively.
Yeah, and I think the saddest part about that case was he even went ahead and offered proposals and solutions that he thinks can help improve that, but they never considered that.
On another part is the way like kids and all that are being brought up by their families. Also, I think will play a major role, because I've seen gay people or transgender people who are still conservative, and you see these guys usually have like Ruben. I think Ruben is gay, no? For Ruben Report, the guy who usually interviews Akina Jordan Peterson. Yeah, he's gay, but you see, he's more of a moderate there. And you see, these are guys who you can have discussions with. You might not agree with what their lifestyle is, but you have discussions with them. And there's this book I read a while back, I don't remember. The author is blanking, but it's called The Coddling of the American Mind. You can look for that book. It's talking about how that... let's say that overprotectiveness of kids in America has really affected the way they develop as adults. Because more often than not, you'd see when I think American news in itself started to shift into doing pieces, like news pieces that were more like inciting fear in the public. For instance, if you do a report on soldiers died in Iraq, That's not a sense. Soldiers will die in Iraq. No one will fear. But if you say, or people are shot in the ghetto, no one will care that much. But if you say that in a suburb, a peaceful suburb, a kid was kidnapped, everyone will lose their mind. So we have to keep our kids in the house. We have to protect them from the world. But in real sense, the danger is not as big.
It's like this issue of how they will say a black man shot a police,
statistically
black
more likely to be shot if
a black gangster. When it's a white person, it's a troubled, a mental. If you even say his name, Michael Schumacher not Michael Schumacher. So they will say Michael Giles, a man suffering from mental illness, a father of two.
They humanize the person.
They humanize the person. But when it's a black person, a gangster. So I essentially agree with you.
So there's that part. It's an interesting book because it was giving examples of how in the past kids used to have playgrounds that they were dangerous. You could get cut, you could get hurt, and
poetry.
And in a way, through them experiencing that, or even seeing kids having disputes in the playground, it also helps them know how to sort issues amongst themselves. So it's something that they're saying many people are taking away from their kids. So this kid who has been told, so there's a story about a teacher who was fired because he told the kids in class that Santa Claus doesn't exist. The teacher was fired. And they're like, people are like, oh, he doesn't exist. So why fire the teacher just because he gave the kids a truth that is true? He doesn't exist. So you want to protect the kids to preserve their innocence, and then in future when they go out, they want the truth they know is truth in a way. So whenever you tell them something contrary, they can't listen to it. So
you're saying it's something that has come from foundation.
But the optimistic part, I don't know if it's a good, I don't know if it's in itself correcting itself in a way. They're saying the reason why many Gen Zs are conservative or moderate, they lean more conservative or moderate, it's because they're saying Gen Zs, they're not, millennials are the ones who are left. That Gen Zs, they're also left, but most of them lean towards moderate or conservative. So they're saying the reason was because many conservative families in the 90s were having more kids, and the liberal or lefties, because the guys who will advocate for abortion and all that, most liberal families are having like one kid. Conservatives might find 2 or 3. So these are the kids in the late 90s and early 2000s who are growing up now as Gen Zers. And because they have grown up in conservative families, that's why you're seeing their ideology being more moderate or conservative. So it's like the lefties are not having kids. It's like the world is correcting itself.
So you're saying essentially we are cleaning it up. But anyway, as we finalize, I think my parting shot would be that let's be open, and in as much as I might have said some very strong stances on particular issues, it is the mature thing to be willing to engage someone with whom you disagree with. It's mature and it's good for development of discourse and for the progression of our society.
I think it's true, but I don't think is it really that entrenched, because in our society our schools are already bad. We don't have that culture of being told. I don't even think we have gender studies or any of that. So maybe for us it's not there yet, but because of social media, like you guys are saying, we are seeing more people leaning towards that kind of thinking. It's like I was surprised when guys like when Akina Nitanderu were coming out. I think people are more open now than they would have been a few years ago.
Even 5 years ago.
Yes.
So I think my parting shot on this whole topic that has been, like, I think feel like we've gone across a number of topics, but okay, my parting shot is I feel a bit optimistic, like you, Kabingu, about the future, especially because we are now starting to see the radical left ideas break down. Yeah, like I think majority of the people are starting to see how all this leftism doesn't add up. It's so senseless. It's so obvious and boring. So hopefully people get to the point of engaging each other and being able to disagree constructively.
Just the final thing. And I also think companies usually, because at the end of the day, companies always are thinking about the bottom line. If people vote with their money, like when they do those feminist films and no one goes to watch them, studios will not show those films. Even like Joe Rogan's situation in Spotify. Spotify said we don't care. We're putting up his episodes because they know he's an asset to them. So it's just how people react to things.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We hope we earned the value of your time. See you next time. Bye.